This is an SM Media production. Hi, folks, and welcome to a very special episode of the SM Media Horse Racing Show. I'm Scott McPike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. We're into June, not that you'd know by looking outside, but we're at the season where it's Royal Ascot. It's the biggest week of the flat racing season, and it is always a pleasure to be joined by, from the Scottish Daily Mail, the one and only Callum McCluckin.
Hi there, yeah, all good. Summer's here, not that you'd know it, but it is decent ground at Royal Ascot, so well, until Thursday anyway, there's a bit of rain in the air, so it might change there. But yeah, this shaping up. Always is a fantastic week. It's a flat equivalent to Cheltenham, isn't it? I mean, Cheltenham's kind of got this constant build-up, but Royal Ascot kind of comes in, catches you unawares in the summer. You know, the markets are, and there's a lot of value there. There's only one odds-on favourite all week of 5 days racing. That's Kip Ross in the Gold Cup, and he'll probably not go off odds-on the day. I think bookies might come after him. So yeah, I mean, all the big power races are there, and there's a lot of very good races that are shaping up to be, cracking renewals. I've wrote today about the St James's Palace Stakes. What you want is a French, Irish, and Guineas winner.
Yeah.
All locking horns, and we seem to have that. So that's a great start to the week. I think the mile 3-year-old division seems to be an excellent nick this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I really think we're in for a really good week, a really tough betting heat as well. Obviously, the thing with festivals nowadays is, particularly like kind of Cheltenham and Tree, is it's really hard to find value in the big races. But I think this year, you say we're in for a real treat. There's a lot of value to be had. Before we get into talking about all the races, what we're going to do is we're going to look into the 8 Group 1s. We'll then kind of do the kind of Group 2s, the likes of the kind of Queen Vase, the Ribblesdale. We'll look into that. We'll cover 2-year-olds, and then we'll take a look at our kind of best value handicap picks, and then obviously we'll close the show with our nap each way and a lay of the meeting. In terms of, we're saying about value, in terms of top jockey, top trainer, it looks very much to be Moore and O'Brien very much at the head of it. Aidan O'Brien's 1-4, Brian Moore's 4-7. Any opposition to that, or is it fairly obvious that O'Brien and Moore are the team to follow again this week?
They look to be in decent form. I think 73% run into form. They're all improving for the run, and they seem to be peaking at the right time here. They've also got a lot of obvious chances in high class races. Their 2-year-old team looks, very, very, very strong. The thing is, the way you take them on is that they tend not to target the handicaps and things like that. So I mean, there is a bit of hope there, but yeah, you'd expect them to win it, and you'd probably expect Ryan Moore to win it as well, and particularly with no Frankie Dettori this year as of the future. But the Gosens are 14-1. They've got a few options. This is their kind of big flagship week as well, where they kind of turn up. Charlie Appleby is a few. But yeah, the strength and depth of the Bryan team, I think it's probably too much to even bother opposing. If there's about 14-1 about the Gosens, maybe that might be worth a small tickle if things go their way.
Yeah,
They can get at least 3 or 4 winners, I would say.
Yeah, I can see Doyle having a week, because he'll get a spread across a lot of different yards, and you see second
Yes.
favourite in the market. I can see him getting a good spread across
Second
different
favourite with
yards.
the Wathnan Racing buying, a lot of very good
Yeah.
horses left, right, and centre specifically for this week. They
Yeah.
bought Hatton, they've bought a lot of very talented 2-year-olds. They'd be expected to kind of do really well. Oisin Murphy's always popular around here as well. I think he's kind of well booked up for certain freelance riders, and Tom Marquand's getting highly rated as well.
Yeah.
Holly Doyle, his partner, rides Ascot particularly well. So I mean, there are a few jockeys to obviously really focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. But we'll get into the races. We'll start, obviously, the first race, the opener, the half two on Tuesday, the Queen Anne Stakes. We got a bit of news, obviously, during the week that Inspiral would be rerouted towards the Prince of Wales. In terms of the market, obviously, Cheveley Park do have audience, which I think will have played into that decision. But you can maybe look at this race and say it isn't the best renewal we've seen. Like last year, I thought was a really good renewal heading into it. Inspiral was touched off really unlucky, I thought. But you've got Charon in there at 5-2, Factor Cheval 3-1, Big Rock 5-1. You've got the Lockage winner 7-1, likes of Maljoom, Docklands, Royal Scotsman. I think all of each way chances. You can argue this isn't a great race in terms of quality, but what it makes it an open betting race. First of all, have they made the right decision with Inspiral?
Yeah, I mean, John Gosling says that they're leaning that way. So I mean, it's not 100%. It is a confirmed declaration. She's not expected to go, but I mean, she is still there. That's enough to clip her back in from sixes when she was 341 favourite. Maybe because the ground is quite quick.
Yeah,
The opposition isn't that great here. They might still go here. The thing is about the trip, I mean, I think it's 50-50 either way. I mean, I don't think this race is lesser than the Prince of Wales Stakes, but maybe she wants 1 mile too now. She is shaping up that way. The Breeders'
yeah.
Cup was 10 furlongs, so that looked like a career best. Got it quite comfortably that day. The lock-ins, she probably needed the run, but there are signs, she can get slowly away and she can get a bit behind, and she didn't get there last year. And the Prince of Wales Stakes is arguably a bit more prestigious. She has done winning at 1 mile. Maybe she wants the extra 2 furlongs now. So I think it's more kind of the trip thing. So I mean, the indications are that she will run the Prince of Wales Stakes, but I wouldn't categorically rule it out if they decided to just stay here, because the top of the market, they are imminently beatable. It's not much kind of unexposed opposition against her.
Where are you leaning towards if Inspiral didn't go?
No, I don't think Charon's the correct favourite. I mean, I think he's got a ceiling. He's race fit. He's had 3 runs already this season. He was a good second in the lock-ins, but I don't think rattling quick ground is exactly what he wants, and that's what we're going to get here. Big Rock doesn't want that either. The yard change to this Italian fella, Maurizio Gualini, seems to be particularly strange to me. He's not firing in France at all. Simeon coming in for the ride is a positive, has to be said, and he was he won by 6 lengths at QE2, but that was in very soft ground, and he's not ran ground that's certainly get firm into it before. Everything went wrong in the lock-ins, he's going to improve for that anyway. He knows dived at the start. You'll get a pace to run at. He's clear on ratings, but the trainer has to be a bit of a question mark. That's why he's kind of at that price, and the ground as well. Of the market leaders, I think Factor Cheval's best. He was second that day behind Big Rock and soft ground, but he does have form on faster ground, as he showcased last day, where he beat horses like Luxembourg Abroad and Doha. He seems better than ever at 5. He's a solid 120 horse. Maxime Guillon gave him too much to do the last day from the back. But he does have a good turn of foot, but he was just he was asking a little bit too much of him. Quicker ground holds no fears. He's a solid one at the top of the market. He's not a superstar, but he's kind of a very kind of reliable operator at this level, and he has form in the book. He's still joint second highest rated in here anyway, so he's still on there in merit. I think he's a solid one at the top of the market. Audience, I don't think will stay. Surely won't get the freebie that he did in Lock-in that day. That seemed a bit of a freak result. I think 120 masks his ability a little bit. I think he's a bit overrated. And the one at a price I'd be looking at is Maljoom of William Haggis's. I mean, he was third last year. That was a big. He was third in the trial for this just over a month ago. He shaped as if he needed to run badly. He's had a long layoff since then. He was a bit rusty. It was understandable. Get tired when hanging slightly to the right that day. Only beaten 2 and a bit lengths. The winner's not here. I think he still shaped the best in that trial anyway, and I think double figures about him each week is fair enough. You know what you get with the Haggis and Marquand team. Their signs of good form. Won the big race at York yesterday with Klondike, so they are coming back to form again, which is a very good sign. And he likes quick ground. He was very unlucky in the St James's Palace 1 year. Kieran Fallon couldn't get a run. That was kind of that bunch finish where Krebs clung on. It was, and everything finished within a length. I think he was a very unlucky loser that day, and that was in the round course. But that does show that he can be high class and compete at this level. And 110 is certainly not his ceiling. So he's the one at a price that I would be looking at, and that would be Factor Cheval at the top of the market.
Okay, I kind of lean towards that trial as well. Maljoom was third. I really liked how Dockland shaped up, and I would be willing to forgive the run after that at Longchamp, where he was beaten at 6-4. They've kind of tried different tactics. Obviously, they went too quick, I thought, in the trial, and took him over to Longchamp and now then heavy ground. They tried to kind of sit him mid pack and he just didn't get home in time. I really think this horse is probably the one to take each way. Royal Scotsman's a big price, but did they win the last day because he was dropped down in class? I don't
Yeah,
know if
is
he's
he
a
going to
grade
go
one.
as well?
And that's the thing, yeah. Docklands each way, I would say, in this race, which I don't think is a vintage renewal. I think is probably a good each way shout here at 16 to 1. Haley Turner on board, obviously, would be a really good way to start the meeting. And won the Britannia last year. I really think this horse is potential to really go, and he's got form in good and soft ground, even what kind of where it goes. Kind of think he's my each way play here. I would probably go towards him as my each way play of the week actually. But it's a really interesting race and a very interesting race as well as the King Charles III. Obviously the fastest race at the meeting, 5 furlongs. Callum, I don't really know how to assess the British sprinters this season. I don't think there's a standout horse in the field. If there's one, that's probably Big Evs. Where are you with the sprinters in this division? Is there a play in this race?
All the sprinters are beating each other up, silly
Yeah.
left, right, and centre, and it's been that case for 2, 3 seasons. They've not really replaced Batash as a kind of an out and out top marker. Even then, they can bob out, but that's a profile of sprinters. Yeah, I mean, Big Evs is definitely the rightful favourite. No, he's a 3-year-old. He's going to get weight here. He's very good in his reappearance. Even though the market did come in for him and suggested that he was quite fit and he was entitled to win as he did against level opposition, but he's rated 113. It's not insurmountable at all. Mick Appleby haven't kind of been firing on all cylinders for the majority of the season. I think a race of this nature, you have to kind of pay attention to the draw. Where's the pace
Yeah.
angle going to be? Regional ran a blinder in the Greenlands behind Mitbahi, went out from the front where he just get called. He is the rock solid, consistent one at the top of the market that I think you could probably hang your hat on that he's going to hit the frame. So a chunky each way betting him at 6 to 1 might be the brave play at the top of the market. As for as interesting being a raider from abroad, needed the run to be at the Haydock quite
Mm-hmm.
badly. Win fourth, just blew up from the front. Oisin Murphy's a good jockey booking, probably a jockey upgrade for Ascot. And there is a case that Australian, South African sprinters, the nature strip blitzed them 2 years ago in fine style. They can be a cut above here. I don't think you need to be that much of a cut above to show that you are a cut above. And if she does improve as a trainer, the jockeys seem to be indicating, by half a stone for £10 here, they're going to win this.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a plunge for that as Fura, I think you have to take serious note about it, because that's the horse, along with potentially Big Evs, who's got untapped potential because of his age. That's the one that could also blitz them. If you don't think they're up to much, then maybe Regional's actually more solid than them.
Yeah.
Can beat them, and sometimes just getting better luck in the run and better pace to aim at, means that you're going to win the race. So it's very tight. Believing's got a quick turnaround. Was very good last week, but that was only 10 days ago. Kerdos won that race at Haydock. I think you just get the run of it, and I'm not sure he'd back that up. He'd be the one at the top of the market I'd like to avoid. Rogue Lightning's another Wathnan purchase. This is a kind of first indication of where they are in Group 1 level. And,
Mm-hmm.
he's got good solid C&D form, but there is a ceiling to that horse. The same with Twilight Calls. Mitt Buy's going to go QE2. Crimson Advocate's interesting, given she won the Queen Mary last year. It's whether she's kind of trained on, into the Gosling Yard. Did win the last day. Has had a run under her belt. It's a month off to prepare. William Buick, that 20 to 1 is a big price in its own.
Yeah.
Connections and previous form. He does have a bit to find. But, you're getting weight allowances left, right, and centre for being a 3-year-old filly in this. A 3-year-old did win it last year, so she's a possible outsider to note as well. So, yeah, I mean, you can chuck a blanket on quite a lot of these on ratings. Crimson Advocate did catch your eye a little bit at a price, but I was torn between Regional and Asfura, but it's one of these races where I have not kind of cemented a final opinion on.
Yeah, I've not either. I'm leaning towards maybe kind of outside the market. I liked 7 questions. I think the big thing is how does he get out the traps? Obviously, he's been very difficult to assess in terms of his a few races you look back. He's been very tough to bad starts, and then he kind of comes on towards the end. So if he can get a quick start, you might see him having a chance. And I'm with you. I quite like Crimson Advocate each way. I think she's very underrated here. Obviously, we saw what she did. Obviously at Gulfstream Park, she just did the kind of run of the race. Obviously changed yards now, so it'll be interesting to see how she's handled that. I kind of it's one maybe just kind of wait to the day and maybe play those both each way. But in Big Evs, I'm not sure. I think it's. I mean, looking at him last season,
He won the Windsor Castle in really good style, and that's good
yeah.
form. He is the kind of leading sprinter
Hmm.
in this country now. But whether I think that's kind of out of default and buying each other, beating each other quite regularly. He has won 3 of his last 4. He does get it done. Marquin's a very good jockey.
Hmm.
He does the course and distance form. He is definitely the right favourite, but he doesn't kind of set a kind of clear standard on ratings here, and this is tougher than what he's kind of encountered before.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move into probably one of the races of the week. Obviously, you've covered that in your column. St James's Palace Stakes. We have a notable speech. Obviously, the English Guineas winner. You've got Rosalie and the Irish Guineas winner. You've got Metropolitan, the French Guineas winner, and Henry Longfellow coming back after a disappointing run in that French Guineas. Very good race. Where do you lean?
No, well, that's a big question. Yeah. A notable speech again. We've got the valid favourite here. Assuming it's quick ground, I think his unbeaten profile and the way he travelled through the Guineas. I know it was a bit of a helter skelter pace. It's probably suited him, and he kept his powder dry later than Brazilian and won cosily enough by a length and a half. I just think he's a bit more straightforward, a bit more tractable, a bit. He's just so uncomplicated, and I think he can. I think he can quicken off the back of these probably quite well, and there is destined to be a bit of pace on here. Um, yeah, I think odds against him is fair enough. Caribus kind of scrambled home. He put in a kind of he was kind of very headstrong at a big performance, and you had doubts about him backing that effort up in the Guineas, given the nature of the performance here. But that in Newmarket, I thought that was all very smooth, very cool, calm, collected, very efficient. I think he's one that's going to take his racing in quite well. I wouldn't be worried about the bounce factor with him. I would slightly be with Rosalind because he's taken in 2 Guineas now.
Yeah.
He had a big effort to get up in the Irish Guineas over Hatton, his stablemate, because he was trapped out wide and he had to kind of really fight to make a one big dash at it. And if he went too early, I think he might have got outstayed at the end and Hatton battled back at him. If he left it too late, he wasn't going to get there, so it was very well timed. But that that just might have left a mark. So out the market leaders, he's the one he's also a bit weak now as well. He's the one I'm not kind of totally convinced about here. Even though going round the bend will suit, but I think there'll be pace on, and I think he can be outstayed around here. Henry Longfellow would probably be the one I'd side with if it was soft.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as
Um,
well.
it's the ground factor for him, and I think he might be more of a mile and a quarter horse down the line. He's shaped like that in the French Guineas, where he was very unlucky. I mean, Ian O'Brien's horses did need the run,
Takes
but
on really well though
yeah, and he
at the
couldn't get. He,
line.
couldn't, and he was finishing off best. He was only beaten 4 lengths in a very blanket finish. He couldn't
Hmm.
get a clear run, and everything that went wrong possibly did. He get
Yeah,
checked numerous times. He kind of bungled the start a little bit as well. He was always in the wrong spot that day. He could leave that well behind. You'd expect him to. He's only got £4 fine with the favourite, but I just think quick ground gives it to notable speech at the moment. If they overwater it and there's some sort of unexpected rain share and it turns good to soft, I think he's probably the one I'd be on. Even still, you could probably have the dual forecast in both and see Metropolitan. Well, he won kind of a was talked about that Guineas. It was a bit of a kind of mess. He wasn't. If Henry Longfellow's in position Z, he was in position A that day. He's just
yeah.
off the rail, off the leader, and staying on and nicking it quite well. Beforehand, he looked a bit of a mile and a quarter horse. I think you were thinking of like French Derby really for him. That's kind of why they kind of had a shock there. But come in good ground. Trainer says it holds no fears. he might be a bit underestimated in the market. Darlinghurst is another good French raider. Simeon on board, 9-10 to 1. The French team this year is the strongest it's been for
Yeah, I was gonna.
some time.
Yeah,
Um, it might cut up a little bit. I mean, I think Unquestionable probably will be a pacemaker for Henry Longfellow. Probably keep it a reasonable even gallop. He did that kind of duty reasonably well enough in the Irish Guineas when fourth, but he did have a setback going into it. And I thought he ran quite well. And it's a Breeders' Cup juvenile turf winner. You can get 40, 50 to 1 about him. And I think that's a bit big at this stage of the day. I would put people off if they leave him unchecked up front. It'd be dangerous because he'll come on massively fitness wise. And you've seen O'Brien's come on for the run hugely second time out. So he's not one to kind of just ignore and let loose at the top. So plenty of interesting angles, but the favourite does look pretty solid here. I do like
yeah.
him.
I think the favourite's pretty solid as well. I would forgive Henry Longfellow because I thought he was coming on really well at the line. I think he just, as you say, I just think he had a really bad race. He had a really bad start, put in a bad position, and then makes it up. You would kind of think you maybe need to start raining or being watered for him to really play. I'm not sure he's going to be as effective in this type of ground. There is rain, there is showers coming. They have mentioned about watering, so I wouldn't really rule him out. In terms of notable speech, though, I think it's hard to see past him just in what he did in the English Guineas. And he just seems to be a really good profile for this race. I think notable speech, but I wouldn't dismiss Henry Longfellow if there was a bit of cut in the ground. On to the Prince of Wales, another really good race in terms of a betting heat. Maybe not so sure in terms of, I think you're relying on a certain horse coming back to form. Auguste Rodin leads the market 15-8, clearly been the plan for a while. White Birch, who turned them over in the Gold Cup at the Curragh. You've got Spiral coming here. A Rising Door, I don't think's out of it either. This is a really good race. Where do you go here? Do you think Auguste Rodin can turn it over with White Birch, or is he gone?
I think White Birch put in the performance of the season so far in open company. I think he's an outstanding son of Ulysses that's improved like Ulysses did 3 into 4. I don't think there's much shame in Augusta Rowan getting beaten. That day, he did run his race. It's the first time he's either not won or not bombed out. So there's a bit of credit in the bank there. Um, he's going to get quicker ground, which should help him. It's just whether you can fully trust him. 94 in a race like this, he's very boomer bust, and there are good opponents here. And then Spiral coming here also adds a completely different dimension to things because she's bang there in ratings as well. Horizon Door is a very good French horse again. It's been brought steadily along, and he's probably going to get it run to suit. Alf Layla's a very good horse. Pluto Sense coming here as well. They've got a pacemaker in for her, so you'd expect a kind of reasonable even clip here. Augusta Rodin, his profile is so patchy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you have to kind of follow what the market says about him. And the market came for White Birch last day, and you can maybe see things kind of happening again. If it turns into an ordinary renewal where like a state of rest won it, for instance, for Joseph O'Brien, White Birch can definitely win this. But Augusta Rodin and Spiral do bring superstar potential. And if one of them fires, one of them's going to win. I would probably trust in Spiral more. I
Yeah, I
think
would as
step up
well.
trip's a good move. I think going around the bend is a good idea. I think the trip is not a worry. She's going to get a pace to aim at, which is what she wants. That'll help her settle. That'll definitely help. Kieran Schumacher has been under a lot of pressure since taking the number one job at the Gosens. And I think you can ride her cold and she can come with one winning run at the back. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's maybe just a bit more. Her overall body of work is a little bit more reliable than Augusta Rowan as well. And you're getting a better price at the moment as well. So yeah, I probably have to chance Inspire a little bit. I think Horizon Door's a good each way option there. I think Blue Rose Sen would want rain. I don't think Horizon Door would want it. Would be as ground dependent as Blue Rose Sen would be, even though she's got some pretty decent form in the book. She might be one that's a bit more interesting at say a Goodwood later on in the season,
Yeah.
where they occasionally get a kind of big downpour and I think a turn of foot is probably slightly more akin to a mile. I think, even though she's won a distance, this might not kind of suit her, and hence why she's out there at price. But I mean, Lauren North's 8, and he's going here and things like that. And Zara Kame's not completely out of it for France either, who've got a very good strong hand in this. So it's a nice open race. I think Inspiring did the run the last day. I think Step Up and Trip's fine. I think she's going to get a very good pace to aim at, and I don't think 7-2, 4-1 would be terrible on her. So I would be leaning that way.
I again with Auguste Rodin, it is just a case of there's not a body, there's body of work, there's cracking performances like the Derby. Do you know what I mean? The Irish Derby, I thought it was very good. It's just if you're willing to forgive him, but this is different because he's had 2 bad runs. Maybe not 2 bad runs, but he was terrible in the race at Maidan, and then comes back, shows a bit of the Curragh, but still obviously gets turned over from White Birch. I'm with you. I think White Birch put in a sensational performance that day, and I think he's the improver of the race. I think White Birch is probably the bet here, and I really think he's better than Auguste Rodin at the moment. He's not worried about ground either. I know he's one. He's got form in soft and heavy ground. Looking at the good to soft one at the Curragh, I'm not overly worried about ground with him at all. And he wasn't. Do you know what I mean? He was third in the Derby, so he can stay further. Do you know what I mean? I'm not worried about that at all. I think White Birch is the pick here, and I think he's probably the best bet of day 2. On to Thursday, we have the Ascot Gold Cup, always probably one of the big races of the meeting. You've got Caprios leading the market at 4-5 for the O'Brien team. You've got Vauban in there, Gregory, Trawlerman, Coltrane, former winner, Callum Caprios. He's had 2 starts this season, probably just kind of dust cobwebs off material. Clearly always a trial for this. Where are you at with them? Are you willing to go? This is the one where this is the banker of the week for a lot of people. Are you on him?
No, not yet. I mean, I think the jury's still out. I mean, he's had 2 runs. It's identical prep the year he won it. But is he back? You have to say it's inconclusive because the 2 races he's won is nothing to beat. The reappearance visually looked a bit better than the second time out. It's a bit more workmanlike, a bit more labelled. But he does keep like all very great stayers. I think he does keep a lot back for himself, and that promotes his longevity in a way. Even though he's had a kind of a season out, he does mind himself quite well. Only does what he needs to do. Stradivarius was brilliant at that. Orla St George was brilliant at that. Yates was brilliant at that. It's just whether it's kind of all there or not. And he might take some rousing along on fast ground here, or 2.5 miles. I think he's one of those where he becomes a bet if he goes odds against.
Yeah.
And if he's odds on, I think I don't blame anyone looking elsewhere. Now, he's not the highest rated horse in this race, believe it or not.
No, he's not.
Trawlerman is, and apparently he's been out working Gregory in the gallops quite consistently for the last couple of weeks. I mean, he does a very good course form. This seems a bit of a stretch for him. He's had a decent break, but he has ran kind of pretty high class races. 3 wins till he was third the last day. He has a reasonable each way price.
Would you say there was excuses that day at Maidan?
There's always excuses there. I mean, things happen there. I mean, Maidan can be a kind of funny place. But I mean, he's owned by Sheikh Mohammed, who will take the chance there. And I think that Maidan form in staying company holds up a little bit better normally than kind of mile and a half, mile and a quarter races. So yeah, he'll have time to open that, to get over that anyway. And I think even though he's a kind of a 6-year-old as well, he's probably rock solid each way. Buick's on early, and that's another positive. Vauban, I think he will improve for the run at York. He's definitely in the equation now in ratings. He wasn't out of place there when Gregory was third. Both of them are expected to come on. So
you're surprised Giavaletta wasn't going?
Yeah, he's a 2-miler. And he doesn't get 2.5. So that's why they're kind of swerving that in that day. He is kind of a, he's that type of grade 2 horse. That's Group 2 horse. That's kind of primed for that kind of That was his Gold Cup, in
Hmm.
essence, really, the Yorkshire Cup. Sweet William goes, he's got a chance. Gosden's got a strong hand in this. Trushan might even take his chance, even though the ground's against him, but he's going south a little bit. Coltrane's rock solid, won the Cigarro. But this should probably be a little bit beyond him, I would say. It's an interesting race, and Kyprios has to get back to his old form to justify the price he is. It's whether he is or not. I'd be a bit doubtful about. He's probably somewhere in between. Well, on adjusted ratings, he could probably hit 130, but he's not hit 120
No.
this season at all. So I mean, you're kind of talking a little bit betwixt in between, and Vauban's run. Trollman's a mid 120 horse, and adjusted rates any day of the week. So he's a chance. It's the extra distance. It's that extra half mile that can really catch people out. Ryan Muir's a master in the saddle. He's worth probably a point, and they don't want to hit the front too early with him, and he does battle when horses join him. So yeah, he's definitely a percentage call. Gregory looks like he's going to improve for the next half mile
I
trip.
think
Vauban's
Gregory
bang there.
2025 Gold Cup, I think, is the bet, if you can get that. I think he might need a year just to really see what he can do. I think next year he's the one for this.
He was pretty good in the St Ledger. He's touched off, but he's pretty consistent.
Yeah.
John Gosden primes him up for this, and he is the unexposed one there, and he's been bought by Watson at the start of the season, so yeah, there's a lot of pressure there. He's closer. He has to be in the shortlist. Vauban has to be in the shortlist as well, because they both they're both shaping as if they're going to peak for this.
Who rides Vauban, do you think?
I think that's an interesting question. Because quite a lot of them are unavailable. Maybe a Chris Hayes from Ireland could come in
Yeah.
and deal with that.
Because
Willie
Buick
Buick
was
going,
on last time, but he'll be on
he's on Trollerman, so
Trollerman.
yeah, maybe a Chris Hayes or something like that. Come
Yeah.
on, Willie Mullins is the most well-connected man in racing,
Yeah.
maybe apart from Ian O'Brien. So I'm very sure that he wouldn't have trouble
Saw
finding.
Jody riding in the flat yesterday. I was thinking surely they can't, but
Yeah, it's that Bronze Cup at York, isn't it? That
yeah.
Grand Cup at York that they get their weight in champagne, don't they, for all the
Yeah.
amateurs? So that race, so that was just a bit of fun, really. That's kind of like a mascot race to open the card, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's a bit like. But yeah, I think you make a case for Case Chorister. I think it's maybe got a bit to find this level like that. That's probably the one that I would probably safely rule out. And Sweet Williams a bit. You see him placing, but he's a bit too quirky, isn't he, to win this? You'd have to think. You can see him kind of travelling brilliantly in the bend and
Yeah.
maybe not getting home or being a bit too keen a beat and then being out battled. It's a very interesting race. It all revolves around Kyprios. I think the market will probably be a very good indicator. Yeah, it's one of those where I'd be monitoring the markets, but Trollerman, the extra distance, it might stretch him a little bit, but apparently he's been working really well.
I'm not against Caprios, but I think Tower of London has a really good each way chance here. Like, there's excuses for the run at York. Like, the yard were very, very vocal of that. And if you're looking at 20 to 1, he's probably the one of the very few in the field that you can really say we know he'll get the trip. Like, you're pretty sure he's going to get the trip. Again, Caprios could go out to a price where you think, right, steam in. But I think just for an each way bet, Tower of London 20 to 1 could be a good shout here. It is all just on Caprios. Is he back? I thought he was back at the Champions Day where he just get touched off by Troller Man, and he actually ran a very, very good race that day. You're just wondering, is he back to that? If he's back to that, he's probably get the beating here. As I say, I think Gregory will shape up really well, and I'm immediately, as soon as I get a market, I'll be on him for next year because I think he might just need that year to develop into a proper stayer. Again, it just is all on what we see. Caprios. On to Friday, we have two Group 1s. We've got the Commonwealth Cup. Van Dijk leads the market. Very disappointing first time out this season. He's still favourite. We get Inisherin there at 4 to 1. River Tiber, Elite Status, Bucano Fuerte. Callum, that's a good race. Van Dijk, though, are you willing to give him another chance?
No, no, no. I didn't like what I saw that day. I thought he blew up, and we'd probably forgive it, maybe a bit soft ground. But the rain's going to come again Thursday, Friday. The yard are still in the gutter a little bit. They pulled out a lot of horses in the weekend that Will fancies for not ground related reasons. He seems to be a candidate that hasn't trained on for me. I can't have him at the top of the market. He could bounce back. He could win. Seen it before. Unfancied horses winning here. And I didn't really give Shaquille much of a chance last year, and he blew the start. And I was worried about him keen. And the first furlong, I went, "Oh, I'm right here," and then he whooshes past them all and wins in unbelievable fashion. So I mean, it's not beyond them. He was a very big, imposing 2-year-old, and he just seems to be the same as 3-year-old, and maybe others are starting to catch up with him. The one that seems to be very highly rated and seems to have proven that he's trained on is Buccaneer Fuerte, and I
That's
don't
one
understand why he's 8-1.
Yeah, he's
I
a
really
great
don't. I
price.
mean, he needed the run, stay in Ireland, still beat a race fit Jessica Harrington horse and give me the Beat Boys in a really good, tenacious effort. He's a high class juvenile form, mixing it with really very, really good kind of top class 2-year-olds Aidan O'Brien last season. He's the highest rate in the field with 120. Maybe it's because we're an unfashionable trainer, Adrian Murray, but he proved his train on. This test seems right up his street. He'll
Ran a
even better
stormer
with
last year in the Coventry, an absolute stormer last year to finish third.
and he was badly drawn, wasn't he, that day
Yeah,
as well? The Coventry's always a very good race. I mean, River Tiber was terrific in it, for instance. I think I don't understand why he's not in the kind of 4-1, 5-1
yeah,
bracket, and he's eighth. I really don't. Ground's indifferent to him. He's very gutsy. He put his head down the line, but I mean, he'd been entitled to kind of back out of that and shape well and beaten by a length and come forward to it. But I think 8-1 about him. I don't know if people don't like the owner that much, with the way he kind of
yeah.
moves things about. But I mean,
With good reason, to be fair.
yeah, I know. But I mean, owners do pay bills and they make decisions.
Yeah,
So I mean, even if they're unpopular, that's what's going to happen. In the sharing, I think took advantage of Van Dijk misfiring the Sandy Lane. His favourite, yeah, he's improved. He helps makes the Guineas look a very strong form. But he had the complete run of the race that day in different conditions. Opposition probably questionable in the day. This is much tougher. Can he back that up? It's a little bit doubtful. I prefer Elite Status over him. I think he had very good 2-year-old days, and
yeah,
he's bounced back to in good form. He was very well touted at Royal Ascot, where he didn't quite perform last year as a 2-year-old. It was kind of good to see him bounce back. But again, he can throw in the odd race where he just doesn't turn up, and that has been Ascot before. You just have to wonder, taking 6-1 about him.
Who
The
was
race
who
doesn't.
was the trainer who won the Norfolk last year that beat Elite Status?
No, it was 150-1
Yeah,
shot, but I can't remember.
trained by Adrian Murray.
Trained by Adrian Murray, Valiant Force.
Valiant Force, yeah.
Yes. If you ask me who don't ask who the jockey
I
was,
know
I
that.
don't know that.
It was Clifford Lee, I think.
Preferably. Well, if you go, he'll be in Elite Status, won't he?
Yeah,
So, yeah, we know of claims. River Tiber's going Jersey. Jasura Clive Cox, reasonable record in this. I think Jim Crowley might ride him. He's not out of it. I took a chance at a Clive Cox horse yesterday in Symbology and ran pretty
yeah,
deplorably, which might put me off. I don't know where Porta Fortuna is going. There was an interview with Donna O'Brien. It might be Coronation because she's a big price here at 16s. I think they might run up the Guineas. They might be sticking the mile route.
yeah. I'll give
I
her
would
a
be
real.
inclined,
Yeah,
I'd have been inclined to drop on trip personally.
yeah.
Um,
Give her a chance as well.
I think she's got a chance with some decent cover. Um, give me the Beat Boys, Jessica Hartley. If you like Buccaneer or Fuerte, that'll probably run well as well
Yeah,
at the 20 bracket. So, Lake Forest is probably worth a mention as an outsider for William Haggis. Apparently he's proven that it's a reappearance run, but if William Haggis is chucking a horse in a race like this first time out, takes serious respect. I mean, think economics this season.
Hmm.
He does not tilt at windmills going in this, and he's not one for kind of usually goes softly with horses like that. If he's tilting them in that's pretty significant. It's got to be said. So yeah, again, it's another race, so there's plenty to consider. But I thought Buccaneer of Fuerte stood out at the early stage,
Yeah, I think he's a
particularly with the prices.
yeah, I think he's a big price as well. I really like his profile for this. Van Dijk, yeah, I didn't like the run last time. Inisherin, the is it can he back that up? I just think Buchanan at 38 to 1, you're getting a good each way bet as well. And I thought he had a really good run last year at Royal Ascot, and then he has done pretty well. He was the only disappointment you would say was behind Henry Longfellow, which at the time didn't look a bad run because that horse
He was
completely.
ridden. He was ridden wrong that day for me.
Yeah, yeah. So overall, I think he's the bet in this race, and I'm going to give him a real chance at 8 to 1. He's probably one of my kind of each way, another really good each way bet for me. On to the Coronation Stakes, Callum. I think this is a really good race. Opera Singer is the hot favourite at 6 to 4. We'll find out who the best mile filly is. 3-year-old. You've got El Malca, Ramatui, Porta Fortuna. It's a really good race. That's where do you side?
Again, it's whether this crown gets in for Opera Singer because
Yeah.
they are shouting the rooftops with her. We expect her to come on massively from the Irish Guineas when she was third. They made no bones about it. She need it. She was late back in training. She had a setback, ran a massive race, all things considered. They're convinced. They're convinced she's a different level. Um, the market's cottoned on. Ryan Moore's come out this morning saying
His best chance.
best chance along with Kiprios. So
Mm,
that's some statement because they've got plenty of good 2-year-olds and
yeah,
plenty of short price favourites, and to earmark her out is pretty significant. I think the Guineas was a good race at Newmarket. They just kind of finished all a bit of a heat, and El Malka kind of came through and swooshed past them all. Uh, that was a bit of a surprise. I think a lot of people saw that coming. Again, it's that kind of backing up factor of can she do it? There's no reason why she couldn't. Um, and it is currently the best form of the book. Fallen Angel's not here, sadly. The small setback, which would have made the race a bit better. Brian hasn't won this since 2017 when Winter won it. You
mhm.
do get some spectacular winners. Alpha Centauri was brilliant. So was Alpine Star, I thought, for Jessica Harrington. Watch Me was the last French winner, 2019, of a group one around here. They might win it again with this Ramatui because I didn't think she would train on that much. As a 3-year-old, she ran a storm on the Guineas, probably the best horse in the race, I would think. At the start, anyway, in terms of turn of foot, they just released her too early and she
Mhm.
get caught. Oisin Murphy on board, round the bend, bit of pace on, bit of cover, and she's got a very explosive turn of foot, and explosive turn of foot wins this. And a bit of rain, I think, could sway if it might deviate from good to firm to good to soft by that time on Friday. If it does, I think she's the one to be on, and if it doesn't, and it stays quick, then I think Opera Singer probably wins. So I think I've got it between those two. But I mean, Devoted Queen's got a chance. It's folly ruling out a Guineas winner. It'll mark it anyway. There are other kind of sneaky dangers in there. Will content run for a pace angle, for instance. Porter Fortuna looks that she will be coming here by the looks of it. I don't think she'd want it too attritional, but again, brings that Guineas form into the equation, and on a different day, any of the top four that day could have won it. So yeah, I mean, I think Quick Ground, I think Opera Singer probably might be a different league. If it's good to soft, bit of cut in it, I think Ramatui could then France's wait for a win on this.
Yeah, I do think it's between those two as well. Opera Singer could just be a different level to these, and considering what they'd said beforehand, the fact that she's ran as well as she has in the Guineas, I think is a real note here. I can't see her being very short on the day and just going off and winning. It depends the ground, obviously. Final Group 1, we've got the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes. Very open race. You've got Kinross's favourite 11 to 2. Millstream, Shartash, met by Regional. That's a very open race, Callum. Kinross hasn't been seen since Ascot last year. I really like one here in Shartash for Archie Watson. Really impressed with his 2 starts this season. Just think he could have the perfect profile for this, and I don't think that's a great field.
The Archie Watson sprinters,
Yeah.
it's at Royal Ascot particularly. Yeah, they deserve a lot of respect. I wouldn't put it off that at all. And the one at the top of the market would be him. I mean, Kinross now 7. He will need rain. He might get
Yeah,
it.
I
By
think
the
he will
looks of it
get it.
by then, but he usually needs a run to warm up, and
Yeah,
he usually needs it a bit softer, and he's usually on horse as well. It's the kind of thing there. So maybe this will be a run that will tee him up for another good kind of autumn campaign. Millstream was good the last day. Could come forward again. Would need to. I think he's a horse that's got a bit of a ceiling, though. I mean, I don't think he's kind of. He doesn't scream kind of joint favourite for a race like this, but that may be a reflection of the nature of the race. McBay was very good in the Greenlands.
hmm
Charlie Hill's his form dipped a little bit since. He'll be running quite cool, cold. He had won it last year with Cadam at 80-1, which is a big shock. But he's got that kind of profile, and he could pop up again. So I wouldn't rule him out. Shartash and McBay are the two that I'm pretty interested in at this point. I mean, Washington Heights will lead it rattling quick, and his form away from York can be a bit patchy, but he has an improved character this year. Art Power's an obvious pace angle. You'd want to be drawing next to him. And I think draw is going to be important here because particularly by midweek, Thursday, Friday, you're going to get big draw biases. You see it all the time at handicaps. The middle can sometimes be absolutely dead. Sometimes it's the place to be where they just stay there. Or, you're either got to be drawing 1, 2, or 3, or 22, 23, 24 and win. So he's a pace angle of significance, and I think he's probably one to monitor. One at a wild price I would give I tend to shout is last year's Commonwealth Cup third Swing Along. Carl Burke didn't run particularly well last time, but that's a clear prep for this. There's a bit to find in the figures, but young enough to improve, bit of an unknown quantity. And a rating of 107, it doesn't scream winner, but they keep beating each other, and the top of the market is only rated. Well, Millstream's 111, Shartash is 111. So the difference of 7, 8, 9 to 1 to 20, 25 to 1 is quite stark here. You're getting big price winners left, right, and centre in these races. He might be the one that's worth a flyer, particularly if he's drawn next to some pace.
yeah. So I really like Shartash for this, and hopefully he gets his conditions. On to the Group Twos. We'll just kind of run over these quickly, and then we'll move on to 2-year-olds. Queen's Vase, Callum. I thought Highbury looked a machine last time out. I think 9-4. He's going to get his ground. I think Highbury for me. There's a 2-year-old I really like, but in terms of strong bets of the week, I think Highbury is very, very good for this. No, I like him.
Oh, no, not for me. He will run a joke made on it
I
at
think he could be
Leopardstown.
quite. I think he could be
He
very,
could
very
he,
good.
he could be, but he's rated 98.
No, but I don't think anything behind him's done much better, to be honest. And I think he's going
Well,
to.
the runner up, was fifth in the Derby and £12 superior and the second favourite. Although I don't like him either. I think Grosvenor Square, I think, was an obvious one for me. I mean, he needed it badly at Chester. He looked like a Ledger horse that day, and this is where Ian O'Brien runs his Ledger horses. Yeah, Highbury, yeah, it could be different class. I don't
I
want to take
think we have
94
the
of
St
it.
Ledger winner at the top of this market. That's double
Could
that
be,
up. Double that up.
could be, it could be. But I mean, he's just not achieved enough to be 94th favourite in a Group Two. Particularly this nature. I think he's hard in the market because Agenda's not going here. Seems to
Yeah.
be the 1 mile 4 race, Ascot Derby for that. So
hmm
it's either the King George or King Edward.
Yeah.
I think he's going that route. The Harrington's like Birdman as well.
hmm
I prefer Birdman and Grosvenor Square over Highbury, but that might be an ignorant price thing for me instead of. I didn't really particularly rate his. I didn't. He's just a 7.5 kind of maiden of. It's a maiden. I can't get too excited about it. He looked like a kind of out and out galloper. He's out of a group winning sprinter. He had the run. He's improved for it for drawing ground as well. But the raw figure doesn't warrant 94. If he's a second coming, so be it. I'll let him. I'll let him win. But yeah, I'd assume that Rymer will go on him, and that'll probably put me off. Gross will swear, and I'll probably back Birdman instead. But I very much doubt Highbury will be carrying my cash at that price. I think you'll get a better price as well if you like.
You will
To be
get a better
honest,
price in the day, yeah.
I
We're
think you'll get that
definitely,
with a lot of them.
yeah, we're definitely disagreeing on that. I think we'll agree on the next one. Laurel and the Duke of Cambridge '94 can have her at that, surely.
No, I mean you'd like to think John Gosling have them very prime, but 396 day absence, bombing out last day, not terribly clear in figures. Rogue Millennium is much more solid than won it last
Yeah,
year. Obvious prep 3 weeks ago for Joseph O'Brien. It's teed up for this. Ground's not much of a concern. As a concern for Ocean Jewel for me, I think she'd want
yeah,
it
that was
soft.
putting me off on it.
You know, Breeze has got some decent Royal Ascot form. One from the last day, Epsom. She's a kind of solid hearted type from the front that might run well at an each way price. So yeah, Breeze and Rogue Millennium, I would think.
You're not going to like this running line 16-1. That's what the
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
things. That's what the sort of thing she would do, though. She would bomb out completely like Epsom, come back here and run a big race at 16s.
No, I said at Epsom, I said at the time, and she did exactly what I thought, and that's my opinion.
On to the Ribblesdale on Thursday. Diamond Rain, I thought, looked very, very good in that race. She won a couple of weeks ago. Callum, where do you stand with this?
Yeah, again, I think she's maybe a bit too short here in a race like this. You always this is kind of the trademark kind of Royal Ascot race for Nina O'Brien or John Gosling. They regularly kind of do really, really well in this. Yeah, Gosling's won it 3 of the last 5 years. O'Brien won it last year. Like the Oaks, they have tended to exclusively plunder this.
Think she'd have won the Oaks.
Who?
Diamond Rain. Diamond Rain.
No, I think Zyla was very good. I think she would have won it. No, I think the winner was won with real credit. You don't fling also the Oaks in that experience again. It's a kind of more kind of it's more in fashion race of Ribblesdale, isn't it? More
Yeah.
conventional track, more time, arguably a bit more prestige these days, even though it's a Group 2 instead of a Group 1. She was very good. I think that was probably the best favourite where she beat Ciola, who was probably John Gosling's idea of being the Ribblesdale horse. She ran a Newbury trial, it's a bit too late for her to run in the Oaks. It's usually a good pointer. She was quite fast that day, though. I mean, she looked like a bit of a mile and a quarter horse on quick ground.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long straight home by Sharmadal as a miler. They tend to produce mile 10 furlong horses, not really associated with a mile and a half, and there might be a bit of rain around that gets into the ground by then as well on the Thursday. Thursday's supposed to be the wettest day of the week,
Mm-hmm.
according to the long range forecast. So I think she's a bit of a doubtful favourite. I think Kalpana is a very good horse, even though she got touched off the last day by Friendly Soul at Newmarket. She's had time to get over that. Friendly Soul wasn't given time to get over that. John Gosling ran her in the Musadora 10 days later for some bizarre reason after putting a big performance like that. Very unlike Gosling thing to do. And she blew out as a result of it because it was a very big performance. They pulled 12 lengths clear of the third that day, Newmarket and Guineas weekend. Kilpanna was an odds-on favourite that day. Get beat. I think because she was an odds-on favourite, she get beat. We'll think, oh, well, we can't have her for a Ribblesdale. I think you can. I think she boxed on really well that day. I don't think a mile and a half is too much of an issue. And Andrew Balding's yard coming into form a little bit now. I think 6-1 against the favourite. I think she can outstay her for sure. And I think there's question marks in behind about the raw talent of You Got to Be Forest Fairy. I think Port
Yeah.
Fairy can turn that around. I think she's a player. Rubies Are Red slows a boat. Danielle was very slow at Lingfield, and she could be the one that does improve for the Goslings. Kieran Schumacher on board, but she's just rating 96 after all.
Yeah,
Siola could improve, but it's been hailed by the favourite. And Judemont seemed to have a better contender in Kilpanna for me. I'd be leaning towards her. I'd back, if it was run tomorrow, I'd back Kilpanna.
I like Diamond Rain. I'm keen to see how she performs. On to the Edward VII. Got a very open race. Callan Degan for the French Raiders. Agenda, I thought, was shaped up pretty well behind the tragic Hidden Law. Space Legend, Illinois, Chief Little Rock. Good race, Callum. I like the French Raider here. I think he shaped up pretty well at Longchamp.
He's a good horse, yeah. He won it quite well, but heavy ground. It's a Group 3. Does the form kind of stack up to some unexposed British Irish horses? Space Legend being one of them, William Haggis. I mean, last time I bought this for maybe a potential look at the ledger later on. I mean, it's a bit unlucky the last day, I think. New Yard at Goodwood behind Maidan. Beating a neck again, probably needed it a little bit. He was unlucky. He was very unlucky. You watch that back at Goodwood, he was denied a run repeatedly. Goodwood, along with kind of places like Chester where agendas get formed, it is got hard luck story written all over it. I think Space Legend is very interesting. Merits a lot of respect. He's also versatile ground wise. I mean, if you're backing him right now, soft, good ground.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter to him. I think he's a major talent going forward. Maybe prefer Tom Marquand instead of James Doyle in the saddle just because of the Haggis partnership. I mean, that's the kind of thing we kind of riders for owners instead of trainers. When you do have an established trainer that's going away from his normal jockey, that might create one or two doubts about him. Chief Little Rock was a trademark Ian O'Brien improver from his first run at Epsom, where he beat the odds on, but he was much better at Curragh. Won quite well, won by 3.5 lengths, and pretty decent second. Stromberg, Joseph O'Brien is probably going to take in one of the handicaps later on in the week. He might be more of interest at price than Agenda, because I did back Agenda at Chester when Hinlaw beat him quite comprehensively. He made the pace quite well. A bit surprising they didn't supplement in the Derby. I think that's the kind of thing there is, if they just kept him back for this, does he have a bit of a ceiling? Has he kind of shown his hand a little bit earlier than most? So I'm a bit worried that even though he probably sets the form standard just about, and he is open to some improvement, I think others can maybe improve past him. It's a race that's very hard to judge. I would lean towards Space Legend at the moment, but it's definitely not set in stone.
On at the Hardwick on Saturday, Callum. If you want to talk about lay of the week, continuous at 94, I can't have him. Not at that price. Not in, considering what we saw last time out. I really don't think he's the value favourite here. I lean towards Rebels Romance. I thought he actually did pretty well last time out. Again, the ground just might go against him. This is tough, obviously, because it's Saturday. A lot can change. But if it's good, if the word good's in the description, I'd lean towards Rebels Romance.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different strands of form here in horses at different stages
We
of
don't
their.
know what's going. Like Emily Upjohn, I doubt will go.
I think Emma Upjohn's going to go. I
I
think
think she'll
that's
go.
been the plan. I just think that I don't buy in that she needed the run at Coronation Cup.
No.
She was the defending champion there.
Yeah.
All right, tactically it didn't go right. Luxembourg dictated it, and it was fine. And a smaller run field race where she was trapped wide and very keen, and they didn't hold her back too much, but they didn't press the leader enough to kind of. It all went wrong for her, but she seems that she's kind of had enough for a little bit of the game, and might be in the downgrade slightly.
The Gareth Bale of horses.
Yeah, Maidan, she didn't run well at all. And again, shaped as if she needed that. She shaped at Maidan as if she'd improve for Epsom,
Yeah.
and she didn't. that's my bugbear with it. It wasn't like Inspiro was a seasonal reappearance. She did not improve from that run, and then afterwards she was weak in the market. But I think that was kind of because tactically it wouldn't work out for her. But it's up in the air for her. She might get a better setup here, and she might bounce back, and she has the form in the book to do so, and is clearly the best here on peak
Yeah,
efforts. But are they all going to run at their peak? Continuous is going to come back from a long absence.
probably
Ran really
Middle
well.
Earth.
Middle Earth's improver, Middle Earth's this gradual improver. It's whether it's enough in the bank, and it's the one that's come for money, probably the reliable one at the top of the market. Continues fifth in the art, very good. Bit of rain won't bother him. He could be high class. He could be very underrated. And he could be very, very high class. Good form coming into the arc. He was kind of. If it wasn't for Augusta Roy, he'd probably be quite a leading light last year in the 3-year-old rank for Ian O'Brien. Looks like he's going to trade on 3 to 4. It's just, is he going to be ready in his reappearance run? And you're going to get a lot of water under the bridge in the previous 4 days to kind of tell where. If Ian O'Brien's got 5-6 winners coming into this and they're all firing, this guy's going to go off 6 to 4, isn't he?
Yeah.
He does have that kind of. He could have a kind of wow factor about him in a race of this nature, where others don't. If you don't like Continuous and Emily Upjohn, then I think Middle Earth's obvious improver. Rebels Romance is again another hard one to weigh up because he barely runs here in
Yeah.
Britain. It's
Yeah.
like a foreign globetrotter coming in back in here. So it's whether you rate this kind of like American, Asian, Middle Eastern form that he's been very consistent in. Is he going to get found out back here? He might do. Again, you'll have a decent barometer of how Charlie Appleby's been horses are running by this time. Desert Hero's going to run for the Royals, who won here last year in a very competitive handicap as a 3-year-old and was third in the ledger. He obviously needed it last day, although I don't think he showed enough for me to suggest that he can improve enough to take this. But he is rated £5 superior to Middle Earth, who's 7 to 2, and you've got 12 to 1 about Desert Hero. I don't think he'd want rain though, the Royal Runner. So
No.
it's an open race. I can very much leave it alone at the moment, but my initial looking was I think Middle Earth might be the one, but not with any confidence.
Yeah, this is one you'll leave to the day. Right, on the 2-year-old Callum, again, always very exciting to see the future coming out. On to the Coventry, I really like one here. I really like one in the next race that kind of plays a wee bit of a play on this. Coward of the County for Joseph O'Brien, won in soft ground. Camille Pizarro, I think, maybe be too inexperienced for this, but I'm going with the second in the Norfolk in this race, and Coward of the County beat her in soft ground. Whether we'll need to see what he does in good ground, but I think Kildare the County in the Coventry to me is the one so far.
This is always one of the best races of the year, pointing to the future.
Yeah.
Second race, and if you've got anything in conference here, fair play to you, because a lot of these have claims. The top two are very hard to split. I mean, Camille Pizarro, surprising it beat Satan Date. Quicker ground might turn that form around. Kildare County's had only one start, put away subsequently. I mean, 58-day absence. I mean, that's after one run. We won't just put it away for the Coventry. It's a bit unusual. Normally you see horses that fit and fire and run within 2 weeks of each other. It's a bit of a puzzling prep. The draws are out as well, and he's also drawn in the middle. So I mean, you don't know where that is. Where that's going to be a benefit. But there's so many of here that have got a lot of potential. Camille Pizarro, obviously, as well. Won this with River Tiber recently. And I do think O'Brien's 2-year-olds are.
They look good.
Different gravy. They look a strong bunch in all areas, and he's split them up quite early on, quite quickly, and quite clearly. And sometimes they don't do that. Even the year with like Little Big Bear and things like that, they split them up even later. The fact that they're that clear-minded this early doors and things, I think it's an ominous sign coming into it. Francisco's piece was brilliant the last day for Adrian Keatley. Moran and Bold. Al Kudra could be anything for the Appleby yard, even though he's had 3 runs, but he's clearly improving and is definitely a factor in this and East of Carl Buck as a chance. Catalyse was brilliant at Hamilton. Richard Fahey, 681, Wathnan came in, bought him. Will be there. Richard Spencer's, Tom Marquand, jockey booking, pretty significant, I would think. They won it with Raja Singh a year ago. I mean, if he's anything like that, he's a player. Even though he get beaten Devi, but he was one of those that was going to improve massively for that. Won at a price and back to air form at Electrolyte.
Yeah.
Brilliant at air.
Yeah, it was.
Needed it. Hammered a 5 horse, which is well fancied in the ring that day, strongly fancied, and absolutely tonked him race fit. 2.5 lengths. We come on a bundle for that. I was a bit surprised James Doyle didn't pick him, went for the 5 horse, went at Hamilton instead. He was 681, went out of 33s because James Doyle's not on board. That could be the only reason, because of the jockey declarations. Now, Archie Watson's yard in the last year, Army Ethos, was mightily close.
Yeah.
With that. It's a maiden he uses really well. I thought he was better than Army Ethos was. And that's quite something, because he gave River Tiber, who's a top class horse, a massive fright that day. He was very unlucky not to win. And Buccaneer Fuerte was third. Now, that's a strong race. This is a strong race. I think he's got a strong chance. I would respect him. And at the prices, he makes obvious appeal.
Yeah.
At the 25-1 bracket. Holly Doyle on board. That's fine by me.
Yeah, I didn't see
Absolutely
that.
fine by me.
Yeah,
and the yard won it 2 years ago with Bradson.
Yeah.
He then went on to win the King Charles III Stakes last year. So I mean, this is their horse.
Yeah. Interesting. On to the Queen Mary, Callum. This to me, there could be a lot of really exciting ones in here. You've got, thought Make Haste look very good. Diego Diaz. This could be his big horse for the future. I haven't mentioned Wesley Ward yet, but I'm going to now. Ultima Grace. I watched a clip. They were talking about American Raiders. This to me looks to stand out, and Joe Rosario's on board. I think Wesley Ward's Raider could be seriously interesting here at 7-1, but I think a lot of these could be really, really good. Like, it's not like a clear opinion. I just think Ultima Grace really like. In terms of the American horses we're going to see, this is probably the one I would be most likely to win, I think.
That's the one that's been talked up the most, I think,
Yeah.
isn't it? Out of them all. It was a different American yard that won it last year, Crimson Advocate.
Yep.
Wesley Ward's horses, he hasn't won in a wee while. Did have Campanelle, for instance, who was a very good horse. He's notably talked about how difficult it is to get to Ascot now, the cost of going over there. So
yeah. I think he's only taking 3, am I right?
Yeah, there's not many, 3, 4, 5, possibly, Burning Pine as well in here. I don't know what the final plan is for.
He has said that this horse is better than Burning Pine.
Yeah, on the gallops, but I mean, trainers say one thing and other things happen, don't they? Sometimes, I mean, if you're taking it in gospel all the time, then there might be a bit of trouble here. Make Haste is a favourite for a yard, probably unfashionable. Diego Diaz and Ireland, but you can see why. I mean, Heaven's Gate, again, just a rock solid candidate for Ballydor by the looks of it. Leo Vanni's, well talked up. The Carl Buck yard, Wathnam racing again. This is a bit like Amel racing all over again. They've chucked absolutely everything at this week, and you've got to follow suit. Ultima Grace probably again. You wait for the draw. If you want her to be maybe racing with the rail, maybe a middling draw might not be ideal, but she'll probably get more pace pressure. Maybe she could set her own fractions time. Although Wesley Wall, I don't think said that she's an out and out kind of trademark trailblazer, is she? She can actually take a little bit of a lead, perhaps. So yeah, it's certainly a decent race. I mean, if you look at kind of previous winners of this, normally something fancy down a rail wins it in the market, and usually a kind of big market move. I mean, when Quick Susie won it with Gavin Cromwell 2021, he kind of get absolutely steamed in the market that day. Dramatised with Carl Buck was another one, and there was late money for Crimson Advocate as well. Went off in 9s. I think he could probably get twice that 24 hours before. So I think it's a race where the market will probably give you a good steer on where to go. I think it's one of those classic races where you can pile a short list to see where the money's going, back accordingly.
Callum, on to Thursday. I think you know me by now. I don't really get excited about horses very often, but I think we could be looking at a potential sensational star of the future here. Whistle Jacket for the O'Brien team, 6-4 for the Norfolk. I think just back him now because he's going to bolt up. I genuinely think this could be a potential superstar for the future.
Yeah, it's been earmarked for a long, long time. This drop of rain that's scheduled for Thursday is going to shoot him down to the ground. Hammered Arizona Blaze by almost 4 lengths. In a listed race at the Curragh, looked very good that day. He was quite green the last, which suggested there was improvement there. But 500 grand purchase,
The drop in
brother to
weight as
little,
well.
brother to Little Big Bear as well, who's a very high class, high forward 2-year-old, many people's banker. Royal Ascot, when he went Windsor Castle with him, and he duly delivered. Expect him to probably do the same thing. He's 64 for a Norfolk already, and there's some depth. If the rain doesn't come, it's a bit of a doubt. He bumped into Kilda the County, and he's going to be a good pointer on the Tuesday at the
Yeah.
Coventry to see that, because if he runs well and wins that, there's just going to be absolutely huge confidence on him, isn't there? Yeah, you can see him. He's the pedigree's there, isn't he? By no name ever. Yeah, he does look a good thing. He does have the best form in the book, but there are alternatives. Shareholder Carol Bucks, I think he shaped really well at Beverley. He's a big raw horse, fast ground, dodgy track. Came from the rear, got up, knuckled down well. It looked destined to improve from that massively. He's put in as an immediate each way threat, and he probably valiantly so. He probably is. And I think there are strong indications that he will come here. Asterisk could come here as well. The market suggests he might go elsewhere. Might be a Windsor Castle horse for Archie Watson, I don't know. Treasure Isle as well has got that kind of same quandary. They either kind of come here or go for the Windsor Castle normally. Celtic Chieftain's in there. He's going Windsor Castle, I think. And the fact that Arizona Blaze is about 16-1, like second favourite, Adrian Murray, suggests that it's pretty hard to see this guy getting beat, because Gabaldon of America might come into the equation a little bit. You can get huge, massive, big priced springers in this race, as we've already alluded to, with 150-1 shot winning it last year, and a 50-1 shot winning it the year before. Try not to know here, Richard Fye. Richard Fye usually runs his best 2-year-old in this. The fact they've gone to the Coventry with the Hamilton winner might suggest might struggle here. I was hoping for a bit better from Moving Force, because he might have been the Norfolk horse and he was beaten by Shareholder, and it was pretty hard to see how that form would turn around. So I think that's probably a major boost for Shareholder. Maybe a Whistle Jacket Shareholder straight forecast might not be a bad play.
On to the Albany, Callum, and I know, speaking to you off air for a while, you've been excited about this collision. I think these are two potentially really nice fillies, Fairy Godmother and Mountain Breeze. I'm always like it when we see Irish form against English form, and we're looking at, I think, a potential dust up here. I'm looking forward to this.
This is a brilliant duel.
Yeah.
This is Godolphin versus Ballydoyle. Fairy Godmother turned my tipping around in the racing diary for the start of the flat season. Really sparked a decent run of form. Very good the last day. I think they run a race, pounced late, suggested a stronger run cover race at the Albany Stakes. It's so reminiscent when they won this with Meditate. She looks like a very high class horse. Could develop into a Guineas candidate for next season. And Mountain Breeze has done absolutely nothing wrong in her 2 starts either. Look outstanding 2-year-old for a long, long way at start of the season. I think it's a terrific duel. Burning Pine could come here for the Americans.
Yeah.
California Dreamer's a decent horse, but it's place forming behind Fairy Godmother already, and she looked like she'd improve. I think the top 2 in the market are very hard to split, but the record of Ian O'Brien in a race like this might tip it the way of Fairy Godmother, I think. But I think this could be an epic race. It's like one of those where in the Chesham, sometimes you have it when when Pinatubo bumped into a highly fancied kind of horse that might have been Alfred Munnings that year, something like that. You want big stables colliding with two very good prospects, and I think we're getting it here with Mountain Breeze and Fairy Godmother. Both are excellent. You can back either or, but I hope one of them. Hope we get a duel.
I hope you get a duel.
Hope we pull away from the rest of the field by 5-6 lengths, and hope we slug it out and have one of the best kind of 2-row races we'll see at Royal Ascot.
Yeah, if there was to be a dust up and they took each other on and it paved the way for something else, I would give Twavik of Archie Watkins a mention. I thought she really did well in her race at Doncaster, considering the fact she really had a bad start. I don't know if you watch it. She was last out the stalls. She she beat a nice horse of the Crisfords actually in Arabian Dusk, who I think is going for the Coventry. I think I might be wrong, but to a freak out at an each way price. But yeah, I'm with you. I really think this could be. I think Fairy Godmother could be really, really special as well. And again, I think we could be talking about these horses for a while. On to other races, Callum. What do you like? I am kind of going to give the floor to you here because it's very, very difficult. We will have, we obviously you will have as well. We will have plays each day and all the other races once we kind of delve a bit deeper into them. But in terms of handicaps, other kind of big races, you got anything you want to share with us? Tough, and it's really hard Royal Ascot to.
Yeah, I mean, I can scroll down through them. I do have ideas. I can slowly scroll down markets and see. Tuesday, you've got a bit more of an inclination of what's going on. We get these kind of Willie Mullen stairs coming out and things like that in Ascot Stakes. And Pied Piper's back again for Gordon Elliott. I thought he got outstayed last year. I don't think there was much excuses.
Yeah.
He's off a similar mark. He's maybe a shade higher. Jamie Spencer on board. Maybe that's a plus because he probably has to wait and come from the back with one run to kind of see his stamina out. I thought the Willie Mullins horse was more interesting there, even though did have a bit of flat form, didn't go beyond 1.5 miles. So he's had a run over jumps. It's like he stays, but 2 mile hurdling form doesn't translate to 2.5 mile flat horse. Sometimes it's even more emphasis on stamina. We wouldn't be entirely convinced there. I mean, I was pretty interested in one that didn't go there in Grand Providence because I was quite interested in taking a Bolton horse there, but the other one's going instead by the looks of it in Berkshire Rockall. So that is, I think Israr is an obvious favourite in the Wolferton, the second last race on Tuesday. I think he's got high class group form in the book and behind very good horses. And I know normally you get a kind of group horse winning this, but it normally comes from a handicap rank. They improve into it. This guy's dropping back into a company that he's simply better than. I think. I mean, Botanical, William Buick on for varying. The owner really liked to plunder this race, I know, but I think he wants maybe a touch of soft ground. And I think Isra has achieved a little bit more. And I think he can win that. I think Gosling's have got another good chance in the Copper Horse handicap because in Tinzo I think's been laid out for this. Third last year. They've won this with an unexposed horse in Habitats before. It's the same owner, Holly Doyle on again. Drawn in two, should get a decent handy position on the inside, be reasonably prominent. I think she was 10, 12 to 1 at the time I was looking at. Again, there was a kind of Willie Mullins horse there that I didn't particularly rate. It doesn't look like he's going actually. Final round. I mean, my mate Mosey's telling up here as well. He's an 8-year-old, but does have flat pedigree. Along with Party Central, these horses do, even though it's 1 mile 6, you're thinking, oh, that's a little bit on the short side for these kind of jump horses. Around there it isn't. I would have a pace. You do need to get home, so I didn't mind that. Yeah, that was a Tuesday options. There's one, the Palace House Stakes, and the Friday, Archie Watson horse. And I was a bit gutted that we didn't get a little bit better value because I was scouting the market. Rhythm and Who's won it last year, but Electide.
Okay.
Is it 3 runs in the all weather? Now, whether that's good, and there's a bit of rain forecast as well. So I mean, whether that's a kind of good thing, I don't know. But the horse is called Dire Holiday. James Dawes already booked, which is kind of significant. But he was very good at Newcastle. A mark of 90 for him significantly underestimates his ability. Now this is a race where you probably need a group horse, but they won it with Rhythm Who's last year. It was a big kind of boomer from the 28 and the 12s. The bookies aren't taking any chances with my 8s here, but Archie Watson's on record saying he thinks he's a group horse. And if you think you're a group horse in 3-year-old company, you've got to be rated 100 plus. You've got to think there's significant mileage in a mark of 90. So 3 runs, he's unbeaten. He's got a mark. He didn't do a tap in front, really. Bought another Wathnan Racing purchase, which is probably blown his price in a way. But I think out of the handicaps, and I know draw is very important, straight mile sprints like that. He was the one that was majorly circling throughout. There are plenty of other races, the Royal Hunt Cup in the Wednesday. I think Wild Tiger of Side Bin Saruros was pretty interesting at 12s. Again, you'd wait for the draw, you'd want decent ground. I think you'll definitely get that in the Wednesday. He won that race with very high class miler Real World when he was 4. If this fella's anything like that, he's going to win that. Probably win it quite handsomely. There's a lot of fillies handicaps which I'm not too fussed about. Kensington Palace on the Wednesday, nothing there yet. The Britannia, I thought Kirat was quite interested, the Beckett yard, but I mean, he's been well found at the top of the market. There are others that are pretty interesting as well. I think there's a big race in Starlord, but Sir Michael Stout's yard just going off it a little bit in the last week or two, and that's kind of, I think that has to kind of put you off a little bit. Charlie Hills likes cogitating that race, booked Holly Doyle, 16-1. Isn't bad at all. Again, I've just got a slight doubt whether that yard's could have had taken a kind of wee turn for the worst, rather than better. That was pretty interesting. Fantastic Fox if he get in that race, but he might could go elsewhere, might not get in. Things like that. He's in the Royal Hunt Cup instead, Britannia. He's older, so there's a lot to think about. The Hampton Court is one of the strongest supporting races I've seen in a long time. It's not only a race for kind of non-stayers in the Derby. It's a bit better than this. You've got the London Gold Cup winner King's Gambit, who's definitely good class going here. First look of Andre Fabre in France is going here. Bracken's last got very good form when he beat Capulet and ran behind him again in Chester. He's been sold to Hong Kong. He's running in this. Al Muzmak, who badly bombed out at York in the Derby trial, maybe needed it though. Apparently he's been kind of working well for varying 14s he's overlooked. And you've got your Derby also runs and Bellum Justin, Caviar Heights, who didn't go because he probably wouldn't stay and needs this trip. Horses of that ilk that could go here. So I mean, that's a kind of race that's testament to the depth that you've got to deal with. Is there anything else on the Friday? Not really, apart from that kind of horse Archie Watson's that I like in the last, the Palace of Holyrood House. I think the rest is pretty self-explanatory, and I think it's a bit too far out to ascertain what's going up. I mean, you don't know what's going in a Chesham yet. There's no entries. Jersey Stakes is going to be a strong race. We know exactly what's going to turn up. But I mean, River Tybal's going. Hatham's going to go there. And that's already kind of blockbuster material. I mean, they're horses that you wouldn't associate with a grade like that. They're normally horses, a bit like the Hampton Court, where it's kind of a bit rung below the Derby. That's a bit rung below the Guineas. And again, horses that maybe not fully kind of stay the trip. And the last handicap I know it's the Wokingham, isn't it, really? There's been a lot of betting for that. Dark Trooper, an obvious one. English Open, obvious one. So obvious that Wathnan Racing have bought them all, and that's why they're at the front of the market. So that's the kind of thing. And Paul Winner, Ratio could bounce back here. There's hundreds of options, and you're going to get very good prices on the day anyway. really. So you can comfortably wait and see in them.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple again, probably more over the course of the week. Hampton Court, I quite like Queen's Gambit. That's a TV show. King's Gambit, very good chance in here. Really think, yep, could potentially go. I really like one in the Wokingham now again. Taking it in trust. Apparently, he's going Harry 3 for Clive Cox. 25-1. He's priced up at. He was off a long injury break, returned to Salisbury couple of weeks ago, I think it was, finished fourth and quite a strong handicap behind the likes of Sakir and Equilateral. Well fancied off 104, probably a fair assessment. To come back after a long break like that and finish in a decent race fourth, I think he is quite well treated. So 25-1 will play him at a price, but again, we'll have a lot more opinions on this if you follow our social media over the week. Callum, in terms of our best bets, late and each way, it's your nap of Royal Ascot 2024.
Nap. I think notable speech in St James's Palace.
Okay. I'm going to go for Whistle Jacket and the Norfolk. You got a strong lay?
I think the prices aren't there really, are they? That's the kind of thing. There might be a place leaving there's a bit of weakness in the market, but that's a great thing here. I mean, you have to be very brave to lay anything at the prices you're dealing with, because they're all kind of odds against, really, apart from Kiprio. Maybe he is worth a lay because he could bomb out. There is an unknown about him, whether he's getting back to that level, because even though he's shaping up and boiling up, he's shaping up into form quite nicely. There are dangers in behind him. I might play Slave Rosalie because I think he might have done enough in comparison to the others in the same race, St James's Palace. I'm only kind of playing kind of the early races at the moment, I think.
If I had a strong lay, it would probably be Continuous in Hardwick. I just don't think he's going to do anything here. I think there's a lot you can have before him. And a wee each way for us, Callum. I'm going to play Docklands in the Queen Anne. I think he's got a real chance of hitting the frame. What you got?
Yeah, I think there's worse 25-1 chances in Swing Along the Commonwealth Cup.
Okay. Yeah, all good. We will be, obviously, keep your eye on our social medias over the week. We'll be sharing Callum's as well, obviously, best bets on all 5 days of Royal Ascot. Please gamble responsibly. Callum, it's been an absolute pleasure as always, mate. Thank you very much and have a good week.
Yeah, definitely. Interspersed with European Championship football action as well. So, I mean, it's a lovely week. It's shaping up to be a lovely week. And, there's real depth across the board this week. Sometimes I'm a bit lukewarm about certain meetings and certain things and certain races. Not this week. I think this looks really good this week.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you very much to everyone that's tuned in, folks. Follow our SM Media Horse Racing channel and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast channels. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.